What's up guys, Infernape here, and it's been a while since I've actually done an anime review, and I really wanted to do some more anime reviews, so here I am doing another anime review. If you guys didn't know, basically an anime review is me reviewing every aspect of a certain anime, and then giving my rating out of 10, finding the average score, and letting you guys know if I would recommend you watching the show. Last time I did my favourite anime of all time, Naruto. So I decided to kick things off with an anime that is also in my top 10 favourites, and one that I think would be a great anime for beginners. That being Black Clover. I have seen Black Clover quite a few times already, and I absolutely adore it. I didn't get into it as much as I used to when I first saw it, but after re-watching it, I fell in love with Black Clover all over again. This video is going to contain spoilers, so if you do not want spoilers, I would highly recommend moving to where I go over my average score and recommend it if I would recommend this show to you or not. But the basic summary of the show is basically there's these two orphans called Yuno and Asta, and they get sent to this orphanage which is also a church, and they live in a magical world where everything is full of magic. But Asta was born without magic, so he's kind of the runt of the litter, if you get what I mean. And basically, magic is pretty much everything in this world. If you have really, really powerful magic, then you would probably want to join one of the knight squads in the Clover Kingdom. But if you don't really have that much magic, you're gonna get looked down on. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, if you're a fan of Black Clover, if you want me to review other animes, and if you have any video suggestions for the future, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's get into the video! Now when I review an anime, I always make sure to have 5 categories in every anime that I review. And thankfully, all the categories I use for Naruto's rankings are going to be in Black Clover, since the categories kind of match up to each other. So first off, the first category we're going to be talking about is fighting. This is going over how well the fighting is in the show. Whether it's amazing or whether it's a pile of dog shit. And I can tell you that the fighting in Black Clover is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot get enough of the fight scenes in Black Clover. Like, they are some of the best fight scenes in anime. Some of the greatest fight scenes in Black Clover have to be Asta and Yuno versus Licht. I mean, come on, that fight was absolutely amazing. Then there's Licht versus Julius, also known as the current Wizard King. And let's be honest, everybody loves that fight. That fight was amazing. And also, I really liked Asta versus the Witch Queen. Now, that fight was absolutely badass. Because keep in mind, that was the fight where Asta unlocks his transformation. Like, that was absolutely badass. I also really love the fact that Black Clover's fight scenes have a lot of emotion tied into the fights. Like, you never know who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. We also love the fact that every emotion is felt throughout the fight. Like, they do a good way of showing, like, if someone is sad or someone's angry, and what sort of effect, emotionally, the outcome of the fight will have on the person should they win or lose. Like I do in reviews, first I talk about the pros, now I'm going to be talking about the cons. So, self-explanatory, I'm going to be going over something that may put off the viewer about each category. And if I were to think of a con for the fight scenes in Black Clover, I would say that some of the fight scenes were a tiny bit lackluster, but that's more of an animation and art style problem than it is about the actual fights. So that's not really the fighting problem, that's more to do with the animation and the art style. So if I were to rate this from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, I would probably give fighting a 9 out of 10. I feel like that is a fair ranking for Black Clover, since the majority of it, apart from magic obviously, is fighting. And I definitely feel like Black Clover does fighting very well. Alright, next up we're going to be going over character development. If you guys don't really know what character development means, it's basically how well a character develops their personality over time throughout the show, and see what their life experiences has taught them. Now, let's get into that point, shall we? The character development in the show is subtle, but it's also noticeable at the same time. For example, probably the character with the best, and I truly mean the best character development in the entire show has got to be Noelle. Noelle started off as a spoiled royal who couldn't control her magic and always looked down on everyone because she was royalty. Kinda reminds me of a lot of people in this day and age, just minus the royalty part. Now she cares about her comrades and can throw down in a fight because she knows how to control her magic better now. Like, for example, she has a wand to help control her powers. And she does use that quite a lot of the time, not to mention her Valkyrie armor. That is a perfect example of her developing into her powers as well as her as a character. Plus, I'm sure a lot of you simps out there remember her mermaid version of her Valkyrie armor. Yeah. We all know. But yeah, I've got to say, another a character that I feel like developed really well was actually Vanessa out of all the characters. Because she started off as, well, fan service. I'm going to be bluntly honest. She started off as fan service, not to mention a drunken fan service. Tell me otherwise. But once she developed into her own character, she became kind of a big sister towards everyone in the Black Bulls. So I quite like that. If I were to pick one flaw in character development, I would probably say that some characters haven't developed enough. But this also could be because that Black Clover isn't finished yet, and it's on a temporary break. Because we still have another arc to do, as well as a movie. So we haven't finished Black Clover yet. So for all I know, the characters could develop even further. I hope so, at least. Like, some characters, I would say, haven't fully developed yet. It's probably Yuno. Let me explain. Yuno is kind of the same guy as he was from the first episode. Only the only difference is that now he has a wind spirit with him, and he's become even funnier with what he says. Even though what he normally says to Asta or his other comrades is also quite funny. So there wasn't a tremendous amount of development. There was a tiny bit, but not enough. I mean, you could argue the fact that him being a long-lost prince to the Spade Kingdom is good development, but I didn't really feel like it impacted him as a character enough. But if I were to rank character development, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10, because the character development is really, really good in the show. It just needs slight tweaking. Alright, the next category I'm going to be going over is plot. Basically, I'm going to be going over the story, the storytelling, and the overall plot of the show. And how well the storytelling is, that kind of thing. And I cannot lie to you guys, to me, the plot is probably one of the best things about the show. Like, when I first started getting into anime, my friend David, also known as Dr. Amnesia, who you
should be subscribed to. Yeah, go subscribe to him.
He told me that I would absolutely love Black Clover because of the fact that I grew up on Harry Potter, and I love Harry Potter. And he told me, and I quote, "It's basically an anime version of Harry Potter, but better." So I decided to sit down, give it a watch, and it was absolutely phenomenal. The story of Black Clover is absolutely amazing. If you guys don't know, I love when magic is used in media. And I feel like Black Clover pulls it off really, really well. There has been some incidences where people use magic in media and it doesn't really work as well as some other forms of media. But I feel like Black Clover pulls it off really, really well. The main protagonist not having magic in a world filled with magic was kind of unoriginal, but it was at the same time originally interesting at the same time. Yuno's character and backstory is amazing, and like I said earlier, Noelle has the best character development in all of the show. Like, that's just my personal opinion, but I feel like a lot of people can agree with me that Noelle does have the best character development in the whole show if you have seen it before. And I cannot lie, Captain Yami's powers is really interesting, since I'm a big believer in Ki or Chi, depending on your native origin or which you prefer the sound of. I can really relate to Yami. Plus, his magical power is really interesting, like dark magic, but at the same time, his dark magic is used for good. Like, that's quite an interesting concept. Like, dark being used for light. That's quite interesting. Like, it's sort of the yin and yang, you know? Plus, like, his fights are always amazing. And he always has me on the floor laughing. Like, his personality and the words that he says is just a massive mood. My two favourite parts of the story of Black Clover has to be when we found out that Licht was actually the devil that attacked the Clover Kingdom all those years ago, and the original Wizard King had to be the one to kill him. Like, he had to kill someone who he considered a friend and an ally. Like, not to mention the fact that his sister was engaged to Licht, and also his sister was with a child with Licht. Like, I'm sure that must have been really hard for him. And the other thing that I really love about the story from Black Clover was when we found out that Asta's mother adopted Liber when he was wounded and wounded up in the human world. And then Lichter, Asta's mother, sealed him inside a grimoire to save him whilst she was on the brink of death. Now that was excellent story writing, and you cannot tell me otherwise. If I were to pick out a con, I feel the only con I can really think of is that some people may find the show a little generic based on what I've seen people say on social media. But sometimes generic can also be good, and Black Clover, I feel, is a perfect example of that. So, to me, I would say, for plot, it is a definite 10 out of 10. Like, it is some of the best story writing I have ever seen in anime. Alright, the next category is animation. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to be going over how good or bad the animation was in Black Clover. And I think animation was really, really good. The animation, as well as the art style, was absolutely spot on. Like, in terms of the art style, as well as the animation style for the characters, that's how I like anime to look. I also feel that the animation for the attacks was absolutely spot on. Like, for example, Sea Dragon's Emperor, or any of the dark magic attacks, or even the fire magic attacks, they were all well executed, in my own opinion. Also, the character, like I said, the character design was really good. Like, I love the character design. Like, that's how I would want anime to look if it was me. Plus, I also love the design and the colouring for the weapons, as well as the magical creatures, such as the salamander. Now, this is going to be where I go over the longest con of the show. When it comes to animation, there were times where the animation in the fights were a tiny lazily done, if I'm being totally honest. For example, one famous example of this was when Asta doesn't have a neck. Literally, in this picture, you can see that Asta has no neck. I don't know if it was from a bad camera angle or a bad decision from the animators. I don't know what it was. But I know that that picture should not be in the show. Like, he's built like a bloody minion. He's not a minion. He's a guy, not a minion. Also, let's not forget the fact that there was one fight scene when the elves tried to attack the Clover Kingdom, and then Asta decided to fight back a barrage of attacks, but he didn't attack every single barrage of attacks. He just stood there like in some sort of Superman pose, like that, or something similar to that, and there were slashes going across the bloody screen to make it look like that Asta was going like at some sort of speed of light thing. I don't know. Like, that's not how I would have done it. Like, to me, that's a little lazily done. The final thing that I didn't really like about the animation for Black Clover was when the Black Bull headquarters literally transformed into a giant bull. And they used CGI to make it move. And if you know me, I hate it when CGI is used in anime. Some prime examples of this would be Beastars or Dragon Ball Superhero. Now, if Superhero was done in the style of Dragon Ball Super or Super Broly, I would have been fine. But if at any point they use CGI as badly as those two shows, I'm gonna despise that segment of the show. I just don't like it. But I do think the animation overall is really, really good. It was a bit of a tough decision to decide where to rank it. I felt like it was better than an 8, but I didn't think it was a 9. So I decided to do something I didn't really want to do and give it an 8.5 out of 10. Because like I said, it's better than an 8, but not as good as a 9. So I feel like 8.5 was probably the best direction to go. The final category I'm going to be going over is music. Now, the music in Black Clover has got to be some of the best music ever. I love the music in Black Clover. And I feel like you guys will too, because it's just some of the best music in anime. Period. The music in Black Clover, absolutely flawless. But I cannot describe how amazing the music is. You just need to experience the music yourself. Like, from my personal opinion, there is no bad opening in Black Clover. Some of my personal favourite openings from Black Clover have to be opening 1, because, you know, who doesn't love that opening? As well as Black Rover and We Can Catch the Day. So I would recommend listening to those 3 openings. They are some of the best openings of the anime. Not only were the openings hype, the battle themes and all of the soundtracks used in the actual show were just as hype. Like, not only were they no bad openings, there was no bad soundtracks either. Like, you need to experience how amazing Black Clover's music is. Because, in my personal opinion, some of the best music in all of anime. And if you don't believe me, go watch Black Clover if you haven't already. Because this show is an absolute banger. Like, every track that's used in the show, like, it goes with every emotion that they're feeling, plus more. Like, every soundtrack is played where it needs to be. Every emotion is felt, and honestly, it cannot be described how hype the music is. So that's why I'm going to be giving music a straight 10 out of 10. Because this is a perfect category in the anime. Alright, I've combined all of my scores and found out the average score. So, the average score for Black Clover is a 9.3 out of 10. Now this is a very, very good score in my own opinion. Like, also, the big question, would I recommend the show to you? 100% yes. This show is great for beginners and veterans. So, if you haven't seen it already, go watch it. Because this is a perfect anime. And now, guys, hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. If you agree with my ranking of Black Clover. If you want to suggest some other anime for me to review. How you're enjoying my anime reviews in general. And if you have any video suggestions for the future, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Did you enjoy the video as much as I did making it? If you did, be sure to give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, share the video with a friend, and if you're new, subscribe to my channel. It's been Inferno today. Okay, that's all from me, so until the next time, this is Inferno, signing off. Bye!